Hi all, welcome back. Enemy Action Kharkov, German Solo, part 29. Um, yeah, nothing really to say. It's not that long since I put that last part together. Still kind of wondering if it was the right thing to do what I've done, but well, it's done now, so that's that. So yeah, Soviet impulse time, isn't it? So let's get across and have a look. Yeah. And every one of them just now within this turn, I think, are going to be, critical, I think, maybe. Like I say, the best we can survive well through this turn and we get all the reserves, so that's what we're looking for. But they've got a lot of cards to get through. I think there's only 3 cards sitting here, so obviously we've just started, but... Right, well, let's go. Let's see what we get. Oh, right, okay, good. That's, ooh, well, that's a primary card. Well, that's interesting. I think if you probably did draw a Stavka, you would... does it do an event? No, I don't think it does it? Well, that's a primary card, so that's going to sit there. I'll tell you what, that's first guards as well. First guards. So, I think what we've done probably was a good idea. So, Stavka card... no, the only event is turn 5. There's not anything to say that this won't sit there and become a command card. It is possible. I think there's a chance. Ooh, that could be brutal though. I think there's a chance that the first guards units could have a go at that infantry, but look what they're going to get. Reinforced battle, I don't think it's going to bring them anything. Intelligence and air power. Okay, right. Anyway, Grant, let's just see what this is going to do first. You know, in some ways, you want to bring that along as a combat tactic. I mean, ideally, I want it to come on as a combat tactic, but not actually do anything. Yeah, you want too much, Grant. Right, sorry, I pressed the button about 3 times there to pause it. I kept clicking it again because I didn't think it had paused. Anyway, right. So, yeah, we're going to activate all units in the First Guards Army. There is no First Guards. Right, sorry, I was away for a wee while there. I've got a message, had to take a phone call, etc. I see there's a wee camp group marker here, we don't need that anymore. Yeah, so I don't think I was talking about anything special, was I? We were just about to start this off. Activate all units first guards. Yeah, no reserves. Now, the auxiliary card Stavka it doesn't have assault coordination though, so it's got intelligence, air power and reinforced battle. So no, however, yeah, it wouldn't have mattered assault coordination, would it? Well, we've got to move the units first anyway, Grant. We've got to activate the units. So this is first guards, they've got their own army objective, of course. What we're doing, yeah, well, yeah, we don't need to check it because once a unit moves into that hex, then it'll just move automatically. So yeah, sorry, I'm a bit lost here. I'll get settled down now. I'll get settled in. 9.26, isn't it? We want. That's what I'm looking for, I think. 9.26 movement method for units with army objectives. So we've got 4 units, 2 in here, and then the 2 strength infantry units there. That's all we've got. Yeah, I think I'm just keeping looking at that Stavka card and wondering what I really want to happen here. Well, I think I said what I'd like to happen is to use the Stavka card, but draw the correct chits that would keep this guy alive. Something along the lines. And would retreat him only 1 hex. Something like that, if it need be. Okay, well, let's just get on with it. So, in descending order, let's change these guys up a bit. Wow, Yeah, let's put this guy on top. So that's going to be the order they're going to go in. So we've got unit 11 here, 10, and then 3 and 2. So take a VP hex. Well, they can. Now, if they were adjacent to here right now, if they were in this hex here, yes they would, because they still get to apply the urban infiltration, which says if starting adjacent to the town city hex, move into that hex regardless of German zones of control. So that's what we were worried about. But the good thing is that with us making this move, this unit was out here, with us now making this move, it means that they can't move into that hex and sit in that position. And they can't also move into that hex, which would then mean I couldn't get this guy round about and whatever. There's, that's the timing of it looks like it's worked out alright. I'm just worried that guy's going to get taken out. I suppose that's my major concern. But okay, right, moving back. So take VP hex. Well, that's the closest VP hex they've got, and there's no gaps for them to squeeze through to Krasnodar, Kier or something like that, and the other part of that is also that's fine, forget it. Right, so method 2, again, they're all in descending order. Adjacent to German unit, which is identical to method 8. Jump back too far there. So adjacent to German unit, move to an unoccupied hex is adjacent to German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. And however, a unit starting in a hex satisfying this method does not move by this or any subsequent method except as directed by 9.25. So looking at unit 11, he is starting and he's starting adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. So he is adjacent to a Soviet unit, but if that one was in here, obviously, then yeah. So he's adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. So he's going to walk in there and not move by any more methods. However, he is going to check 9.25. So 9.25 decides that he can reside in any one of the hexes round about that German unit. Well, he needs to be able to move to them. So, hex that would cause him to be surrounded. No, I mean, where can he actually reach? Are we not better finding out the hexes he can go to? Yeah, so it's only there or there, so he stays where he is, or he can move here, because he can't get round it in this one. He could, there's nothing stopping him zone of control wise, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, so he can't get round to there, and he can't get in here, he can't go into there and there, so there's these two options. So none of them are going to surround the unit. They're all in support. A hex not occupied by or adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to the same German unit. Both of them are okay for that. An empty garrison hex, both of them are empty. Hex not occupied by an active unit. So none of them are. I mean, I think he stays where he is, yeah, because he's going to be closer to his objective. But check tiebreakers, and the first one is closest to the unit's objective marker. Well, that one's going to be closer than what that one is. So he's not going to do anything. He's just going to settle there. Now he's not moved. That's interesting then. Can he reinforce the battle? I'm not sure. Right, okay, let's move on, we'll come back to that. So unit 10 would be next. Well, he's going to be in the exact same position, isn't he? He's looking at movement method 8. He is starting in a hex satisfying movement method 8, which is adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit. So yeah, so he's going to settle in there now. He can go... Oh. Right, how did I miss that then? Damn it. How did you miss that, Grant? Yeah, this guy can get in here. So if that guy can get in there... Well, hang on though. Move method 1 was to actually take a VP hex, wasn't it? So they can't do that. So they are still looking at movement method 8 adjacent to the German unit. But, yeah. Why did I think we couldn't move in there? Because these guys could do it as well. They'd just go 1, 2, 3 into there. And I think this guy might be going to do that because it's closer to his objective as well. Ew, yuck. Right. That's rather frustrating. Okay, so so anyway, he is adjacent to this, so he's going to lock in here as well. But he is going to check 9.25, and this might end up moving on. I'm pretty sure it's going to. Well, let's see where he can go. Right, so yeah, as I've now noticed, he's got 3 possible hexes that he could adjust to. No, none of them surround the unit. No. None of them surround the unit. They're all in support. A hex not occupied by or adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to the same German unit. No, none of them do that. An empty or garrison hex, they're all empty. Hex not occupied by an active unit. Yeah, I can see where this is heading. Right, back to tiebreakers. Closest to the unit's objective marker if in play. There's his objective marker. These 2 hexes are 2 away. This hex is 1 away. So, ooh, wait a minute. Is he going to break a restriction? Well, I don't know. Let's find out, Grant. Let's take these away. Put that in there and move that guy. 1, 2 breaking zone of control. 3 into there. It does, doesn't it? Does it allow me into Slovansk? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the river. Yeah, 6 into there. Well, that's good then. But, well, yeah, one of these guys is going in there anyway, definitely. Somebody's going to end up in there. So, he can't go in there because he's going to break this restriction of leaving proximity to Slovansk. So if I'm in there, these guys can break zone of control. 1, 2 into the clear hex, 3, 4 into the broken hex, and then 5 crossing the minor river, 6 into the clear hex. So he will not break that restriction. So he can't go there. So he still has the option of these 2. Both of them are same distance from his objective marker. Both of them are empty, and then it's compass direction, yeah. So he stays where he is as well. And locks into place as well. And we've not activated everybody. I think we should be doing. Okay. So now comes down to Unit 3. And these are going to satisfy the method again, aren't they? Well, I'm looking at Unit 3, I suppose. So, actually, if Unit 3 moves, then Unit 2 might not be able to satisfy it, I think. So, move to an unoccupied hex. Well, is the unit adjacent to a German unit and not adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to that same German unit? It is just adjacent, isn't it? Yeah, I mean that doesn't talk about being stacked. Like, it doesn't say occupied by or adjacent, does it? Well, I think this is maybe a different thing. I don't think we need to be thinking that way with this one. because it doesn't feel like this is doing anything wrong. Because he's going to adjust with 9.25 anyway, so he's going to find his better hex. I guess what I'm saying is he's stacked with a unit that's adjacent to the same German unit. But it says move to an unoccupied hex that is adjacent. Of course, no, it's unoccupied, yeah, grand. Don't. I remember watching one of Michael's videos quite recently, and he almost got caught out with that too. Yeah, so this isn't satisfying it, because this is not in an unoccupied. That could catch you out. Yeah, these wee things. So he is not in an unoccupied hex that is adjacent to German unit and not adjacent to Soviet unit. Can he move to an unoccupied hex that's adjacent to German unit and not adjacent to Soviet unit? He cannot, because if he does move into here, which he can do, if he was to move into here, he's going to be adjacent to Soviet unit, adjacent to the same German unit. Wow, I repeat myself quite a lot. So I don't think either of them can satisfy that movement method then. No. I'm just going to pause and think about that one just for a second. Yeah, I think neither of the units can do that because they're not in an empty hex and they can't get to an empty hex. So okay, so we move on to... Yeah, he's still going to do it. He's still going to move into there. One of them is anyway. In fact, probably both. Well, maybe not, because they'll adjust. Right. That's right. We don't need to 9.25 either, because they've not satisfied. They've not done anything yet. So the next method is the one that's unique to the 9.26. Closer to German unit and army objective. Locate the German unit in or closest to the active army objective marker hex. So, well, it's these two stacks anyway. They're the closest. Among German units closest to the objective, prefer the unit in A, the hex closest to the moving unit. So that is that one. So that's our target, because these are two away, this is adjacent, this is one away. So we've got our target, and now we're already adjacent to it. So if starting adjacent to the German unit that is in or closest to the objective hex, it is. The unit does not move at all in this activation except it's directed by 9.25. So now he's going to 9.25 round this, and this is where he's going to move in, isn't he? So 9.25, well, let's see. Yeah, so clear with that says two options. I mean, this is not only an empty hex, it's adjacent to the objective mark. It's going to actually be decided with 9.25 rather than tiebreakers, I think. So, it's not going to surround. A hex not occupied by or adjacent to a Soviet unit adjacent to the same German unit. That doesn't apply. Next one's an empty or garrisoned hex. So unit 3 is going to move 1, 2 breaking zone of control and 3 back into there. He came from there, he's not broke any restrictions. So yes. So now, well, now we are forced. I never seen that. Why did I not see that? Of course, if I moved the unit into Kramatorsk, it was leaving the gap there, and that's what I wanted to try and avoid, wasn't it? Well, it looks like I'll need to activate my 40 core now and leave the reserves lying. That's frustrating. Well, it is a Kampfgruppe card, I think, isn't it? And it's going to activate the one stack, and there's still a temptation in my mind to have a go at this guy and, you know, put a bit of pressure on Sylvanus, but in some ways. Yeah, it's maybe silly thinking, isn't it? Right, anyway, Grant, we're not, you decide that on your impulse. This is the Soviets' impulse. So Unit 2 as well, he's in the same, he's settled in his position as well, isn't he? Because that's his closest unit. So he's only going to 9.25 as well. Hex not occupied. Yeah, okay. And he's got a choice between these two hexes. Yeah, he's got a choice between these two hexes, and this one's not empty, but this one has. So that's where he's going to go in it. Hex not adjacent. Yeah, an emptier garrison hex. So he's going to just settle. Well, actually, right? No, he didn't move then, did he? I still feel slightly uncomfortable about that one. So, yeah, he's not going to move at all in this activation, except as directed by 9.25. 9.25 has said that is his preferred hex. So it does kind of, I mean, he's not moved. He's looked at adjusting around the unit, and he's not. So I'm going to put him like that, as if he's locked and not moved as well, which I think is right. Feels right. Right, that's everybody been through the movement steps. So now comes the iffy part. Checking conduct attack checks and ascend in order. Okay, so we're looking at, we've got 2, 3, 10 and 11, but I mean, 10 and 11 probably not doing anything. Well, yeah, I'm still wondering about them if they can reinforce the battle. I get the feeling they can, because they're active and they've not moved, aren't they? What does reinforced battle say? It feels like a kind of stupid thought to stop and think about it, Grant. Select an active or inactive on map Soviet unit stack that could reach the combat. Simple as that, Grant. Yeah, okay. They are active. I suppose it's the fact that they're not allowed to move by any other movement method. How does it word that again? Does not move by this or any subsequent method. You've got to think that just meaning the movement methods, eh? Yeah, that's how I'm taking that. Please tell me if I've got it wrong, like. But I think they could still be used to reinforce a battle. And the reason I'm asking that, obviously, because that's Stavka's, that's part of Stavka's combat tactic, and it needs to be able to use them all, doesn't it? Something like that. Does not need to be able to use them all. So, and like I say, in some ways I think I'm wanting it to be used. However, if he reinforced, they would be breaking a restriction, and I've got a feeling, what if he reinforced then? One. Yeah, so they're not going to be able to do that. So I think Stavka's going to sit there and do its thing. Damn. Right, well, hopefully we come out of the combat okay then. Right, so yeah, attack check, yeah. Send an order. Unit 2. So we've no reserves. We've not got assault coordination, not that matters. So we've got 8 strength against 3. Yeah, 8 to 3. All active units, it could be placed, no reserves. Yeah, and situationally there's not any additions to that, 3. So 8 to 3, so it's 2 to 1. The command value of the cards are 3. Ooh. Although they've not got armour, and I don't think they can use the Stavka card. Right, let's see. So, what did I say? They've got 2 to 1, so it's between 1 to 1 and 3 to 1. So the command value of the cards are 3. If situational strength is 2 to 1 or greater, it's a +2. Yeah, so they're up to 5. No Soviet artillery barrage. Soviet units on support, that's a 6. but only Soviet units have armour, no. If any attacking units are surrounded, no. Flanking will apply or defender will be surrounded, no. If target hex is a VP hex, no. If all combat tactics is other card apply, right? Well, we'll come back to that one. Finally, if there's less than 4 cards in the draw pile. Right, I'm sitting at a 6, and we would get a +1 if all combat tactics on auxiliary card apply to attack. So, we've got intelligence, air power, and reinforced battle on this card. So, we need to find out if all of them can apply, because I think he's infantry. He's 1 short. What about then he's coming across the river? Yeah, you have to go all the way back to here. 4, 5. Ooh, he's 1 short. This guy's across the river, so it's 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he's not getting there. And like I've said, if either of these, if this guy comes in, Slavyansk is proximate, and if this guy comes in, well, he's proximate to Slavyansk and Izium, to be honest. Yeah, no, there's not a gap while he's sitting there, yeah, so he can't move. So, I don't think it needs to have them all working, doesn't it? Did it not just say that? If all combat tactics on auxiliary card apply to the attack, yeah, reinforced battle is not going to apply. Like, where did I find that bit in the rulebook then? Let's see. Yeah, so this doesn't work because 12.31 on page 32, Soviet auxiliary combat tactics. If there is a card in the Soviet auxiliary card box during a non-overwhelming Soviet attack, I suppose we're not at that stage yet, but I think it's not going to be that because, yeah, it would be an automatic attack for us to be bothered about that, wouldn't it? So this was only deciding if the attack's going to go ahead. Oh. That means it's not going ahead, eh? That's good, isn't it? Yeah, it says all the combat tactics listed on the card may be applied to the attack. All the listed combat tactics are awarded to the first Soviet attack of the activation to which they all apply, and the auxiliary card is then discarded. There's the exception when it shuffles back in. And the auxiliary card's combat tactics are applied to a Soviet attack only if all the tactics listed in the auxiliary card provide a benefit to the attacker, other than additional chip draw. If any of the auxiliary card's tactics can't be applied, then none of its tactics are applied and the card remains in the auxiliary box. The auxiliary card's combat tactics are not applied in these situations. And the first one is reinforced battle, if there are no units available to reinforce with. Now, so there we go. I don't believe they've got a unit that can reinforce the battle. Because reinforced battle does have to abide by the restrictions, I'm pretty damn sure of that. I'm pretty sure it will say it somewhere. The movement restrictions of 9.23 apply to reinforcing units. So there it's there, and 9.23 tells us to not cause German unit to become proximate to unoccupied Soviet town city hex. Unless the situation already exists, which it doesn't. So, and like I've said, moving either one of the first guards units into the combat is going to break that restriction. So, no is the answer to going back and checking. So we were at 6, and it was going to give a +1 if all combat tactics and auxiliary card apply. They do not, so it's not going to go. So let me just quickly double check. So it was 2 to 1. So the command card was a 3 plus 2 for the situational strength of 2 to 1. That's 5. No artillery barrage, no. That's only in turns 1 and 2 anyway, and it is actually the bonus of it. It's not in the zone, so we can forget about that one now. So sorry, that was 5. Attackers and support, that is 6. They don't have armour, so they don't get that. They are not surrounded, the attackers, no, they've both got a hex they can move into there. And if flanking will apply, no, because they're only attacking from 2 hexes which are adjacent to each other, and this unit is not surrounded and can trace supply. It's not a VP hex. The combat tactics on the auxiliary card cannot all be played, and we've got more than 4 cards in draw pile, so yeah, no, it's not happening. Right, sorry, called away again. So yeah, so this wasn't happening, was it? No, so we can put this back. Well, we only had that out just to have a look at it and see if we could, yeah. So I suppose that's the downside to having that many. I suppose intelligence and air power is probably always going to be applicable, isn't it? Yeah. And that was just to do the check for that, I suppose, yeah. Okay, so that was Unit 2, done his check. Not going to attack. Unit 3, well actually, yeah, it's not worth a look. We obviously can't check that again, we've checked that. But he actually can check this along with this guy, so it's 5 strength, but the first 2 units, there's 3 units in there, so it's not going to happen. It's less than 1 to 1, so there's no attack there. The next unit would be 10, this has already been checked. Last one is 11. This is 2 against 4, plus 1, 5, so nothing doing there. So we've got 3 units that haven't moved then. So can they bounce back? Right, well, how did we work it? It was best when their villages are going to be southwest villages. They're not in VP hexes. So are they stacked with a unit? Right, hang on, I'm doing this in descending order. So we've got 3 of them here. So he's not stacked with a unit, and he's not adjacent to 2 Soviet occupied hexes, so he cannot go back. Well, actually, yeah, neither of these are going to go back because they're going to leave proximity, aren't they? Yeah, so he's the same. He's not stacked with anybody. He's not adjacent to 2 Soviet hexes. He is. He's adjacent to 2 Soviet hexes. Right, let's have a look. He's in supply. He didn't move or attack. I mean, he was involved in a 9.25 that didn't move him, and then he was involved in an attack check that they didn't attack. So yeah, I'm feeling confident that he's not done anything. He's adjacent to German unit. Removal would not cause Soviet unit to be nearly surrounded. That would. Yeah. And I've got it all covered now, because if I take that guy away, this guy can be surrounded. 1, 2, 3. So remember, nearly surrounded is the movement of 1 unit surrounding a Soviet unit. So yeah, so he's not going to move either then. And that's him, and then this guy already moved, so that's impulse over. Yeah, however, it does mean that we've got, well, and then, I mean, bad thing, and this is going to be a second impulse as well. Let's hope first guards don't add to it then. Stavka is, this is turn 3, right, it's mobile group Popov plus stacked units. Right, we're okay then. Oof. I mean, that's the sort of thing that can happen. You know, if this had been, or if it had been on our first guards card, you know, they could activate it again and then he would have just stepped into there. Okay, so yeah, first guards card, that impulse is over. And now we've got the auxiliary card slides across into the command card box and we get this. What I might do is just cut the video there though, 35 minutes, maybe even upload it like that. It's quite nice that when they're smaller, I think. It's easier to handle as well at times, and yeah, I can maybe catch mistakes quicker as well. So yeah, I'll just cut the video there and we'll put this one up as a small episode, and but I'm still here though, so I'll be coming straight back with Stavka once I've done that. Right, okay, I'll be back shortly guys. Cheers.